definitely weird being here in the office and not in Barcelona, but I'm sure the topic can be as exciting as it would have been there as well. And as you mentioned in the intro, we want to sort of provide a brief overview of network automation, orchestration, virtualization in general, and specifically how we can apply this into a satellite environment, a satellite ecosystem, and expand it further into a 5G ecosystem. And if you move on to the next slide, I'm going to start laying down the background and providing some insights. I'll walk you through some of the principles, and then I'll hand it over to Gint, who can provide more details on how this is actually operating in the SES network. So we've recently started working in a close partnership with SES around deploying NFV, or network and service automation orchestration in general, based on key ONAP components and leveraging Microsoft Azure as a public cloud infrastructure. And as could be seen on the right-hand side, basically what we are providing is an automation or abstraction layer that provides the proper glue and the proper connection in a very efficient, open, standard, and automated manner in between the public cloud infrastructure, which is predominantly Azure based in this case, and a wide range of different applications that we're starting to see popping up in the market. The goal is really to provide a different type of experience, both customer experience as well as internal operational experience for service providers. So it's very much focused around how do we deliver service agility, how do we allow service providers to introduce much more rapid innovation and to have a much faster time to market to introduce new types of services. How do we move from a very closed vendor siloed environment into a much higher degree of choice and an ecosystem of applications and value added services that could be provided to customers. So this allows service providers to elevate themselves from becoming just connectivity or pipe providers into value-added services providers. How do we leverage different environments or different types of cloud environments? In the SES case, which we'll show in a second, we're very much focused on the public cloud and Microsoft Azure. We have cases in customers where they want to actually leverage and run some applications on Azure and other applications on different either public or private cloud environments. And last but not least, how do we provide by far simplified and lower cost option, especially when it comes to avoiding significant upfront investment. So for a lot of service providers, they have to build a whole wide range and high scale private cloud or data center environment. That is a significant challenge up front, and here with the leveraging the public cloud environment, we can provide a much more gradual investment model. If we move on to the next slide, this is where we're going to start showing how do we apply this in the specific sort of combination of satellite and 5G. So in essence, what we see on the right-hand side, we've introduced our Amdocs service and network automation platform. So it's an integrated product that combines all of the automation, orchestration, virtualization, service modeling, and so on components that allow us on the one hand to control a wide range of SD-WAN controllers, different VNFs or virtual network functions from a wide range of different networking applications, as well as resource management for different types of infrastructure. So we abstract and sort of combine all of those southbound integrations. And then northbound, we provide a wide range of different standard-based open APIs that allow any service providers to order different types of services. This is, as I've mentioned, all deployed on Azure as a public cloud environment. And while we started initially by working on an exciting project with SES that was very much focused on business services, this is now in the process of, and could clearly be expanded to also extend the same concept into a 5G and satellite environment. So in essence, you can think of a 5G network that has a backhaul that is satellite based and allows to extend the 5G benefits, bandwidth, ecosystem of applications into a wide range of different customers, whether it's rural customers that don't have access to a standard 5G core network, into a maritime environment, or as much faster expansion into an existing network. So with this, I'll let Gint provide more details of how this is actually done in a service provider environment.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit more about this slide because we capture a lot of exciting points. I'll talk about the broader aspects of SES's business on the following slides, but this slide really illustrates the exciting things that we're doing from space to deliver content and connectivity absolutely everywhere. And the nature of the vast majority of our customers are enterprises that are operating in wild and remote places like maritime, cruise, energy sector, mining, and so forth, offshore oil rigs. All of these businesses, they have large enterprise operations that are very, very remotely located. And what they all have in common is they need an exceptional amount of capacity that the satellite industry has never been able to deliver, which is 1 gig or above. And that's where we're currently at, is we can serve these customers with up to 3 gig connectivity for customers that we have deployed today and take them straight back to the cloud. We can pick them up in the middle of Africa, in the middle of the ocean, and in under 140 milliseconds, take them directly back to the Azure cloud. And we're deeply integrating our satellite technology in the same way that terrestrial 5G and even 4G have virtualized their RAN architecture. We're doing the same, and we're leading the charge on intensely virtualizing the ground infrastructure and literally running that inside of the Azure cloud. And we're co-locating our antennas and our gateways right at the Azure facilities. So it's really exciting to take an enterprise from a wild and remote location and with low latency deliver them directly to the Azure cloud. We also have other cloud partners that we deliver to, but with Azure, we have the deepest level of integration, and we also run all of our own infrastructure on top of Azure. So this is a really exciting development, is taking these businesses all the way back to the cloud, and we're all familiar with that pattern. The next pattern that's evolving and really revolves on using native 5G technology within SATCOM itself, that's taking the cloud and delivering it all the way out to the edge. And this is where we're able to take advantage of the 5G core and use the core to manage the services and the infrastructure, inclusive of the SATCOM infrastructure, all the way out to the remote edge. So could we move on to the next slide, and I'll talk a little bit more about our business. We're the largest satellite operator with 70 plus satellites in operation, including non-geostationary orbit. Those are the satellites. The medium Earth orbit satellites are what deliver low latency service of 140 milliseconds. So we're able to pick up a customer, for example, in South Africa or Sudan, and deliver them directly to a cloud data center in the south of France or in Dubai, all bypassing that extraterrestrial infrastructure, which frequently introduces a lot more problems and reliability issues along with latency. So it's with the MEO satellites that we introduced that combination of fat pipes and low latency. And that's being in the sweet spot of a medium Earth orbit. We get just the right coverage to cover a large section of the Earth, whereas different orbits such as low Earth orbit, you don't have that level of visibility, and you can only cover maybe a few hundred or up to 1,000 kilometers worth of coverage from one satellite. So our MEOs turned out to be a real sweet spot, and we're upgrading our MEO services with mPOWER, and there we're going to be offering typically up to 10 gig services that can reach even up to 30 and 50 gig. So this is going to deliver the really fat pipe capacity that remote enterprises need to get back to the cloud, and then also the capacity that cloud providers need to reach out to that remote edge and deliver their advanced edge-based services. Let's move on to the next slide. So the big thing that drives our business is, of course, coverage and, as I highlighted, capacity, being able to deliver capacity across a massive coverage footprint. And when we look at the use cases that we serve the best, that's really what you need is a lot of capacity in difficult to reach places, and that you can provide it with really good low latency instead of having 400, 500, even 800 milliseconds of latency that you get with typical satellite solutions. So the four suite categories of use cases are really trunking and head-end feed, and this is the classic backhaul, fat pipe backhaul type of applications where we need to connect large enterprises that are operating in remote locations. The other backhaul type of application is tower feeding, where we're delivering broadcasting and multicasting content all the way out to video head ends, central offices and so forth, so that we can deliver every form of media and content, inclusive of, for example, software updates, YouTube content updates, and other media. The other application is, of course, communications on the move, where we have cruise ships, maritime, high-speed rail, aircraft, and other mobility sectors. Here, the challenge is to provide coverage and connectivity and deliver content to moving platforms. And this is uniquely served by satellite, of course, and it has a tremendous amount of similarity to the mobile network, where you have to provide roaming services and deliver services while things are on the move. And then the final one is hybrid multiplay, and this is historically a big part of our business that you saw as direct-to-home capability. And we have millions of customers. We're serving customers all over the world with direct-to-home capability, but hybrid also addresses direct-to-business capability. And this can be tied up with the backhaul and tower feeding type of use cases to really deliver connectivity and content to offload even the terrestrial network in areas that are inside urban areas as opposed to rural remote areas. So it's this ability to get ubiquitous coverage everywhere, and where the end users need really fat pipe connectivity services combined with content delivery while on the move. And this is where the sweet spot comes together, where we tie together our next generation MEO constellation that delivers data capability and connectivity, and then combine that with our broadcast assets to deliver content to any point on the earth. And the big thing that is tying our network together is we're evolving, like I mentioned, our RAN, our satellite RAN, towards a native 5G architecture. And we're virtualizing both the core and the RAN aspects to run as much as possible inside of the cloud. And then we're able to leverage off-the-shelf solutions like Amdocs ONAP solution, their 5G solutions for an evolved packet core, and then a really exciting application and service that we're looking to do is integrating with 5G networks and doing network slice service orchestration from end to end. So this move towards standardizing SATCOM all around 5G and 4G infrastructure and leveraging the technology that has been developed and commercialized for 5G networks and bring that into SATCOM, that allows us to then jump onto ONAP and very, very quickly launch Amdocs ONAP suite and integrate it with our full BSSs. And let's move on to the next slide. So in wrapping it up, our big experience has been that we really needed to take the SATCOM industry's technology that's very, very focused, not standardized, and consequently, everything, all of our operations were very idiosyncratic and required custom solutions. Now, as we start to focus on the SATCOM platform getting a bit standardized towards 5G capabilities, it then allows us to bring a tremendous amount of off-the-shelf platforms and services, and to put more of our infrastructure inside of the cloud and find creative ways of driving portions of our operations that can be better done by our partners. It allows us to quickly move operations out to our partners where they do it better. And then it allows us to take our business partners like telcos and cloud providers and allow them to directly integrate with our systems and sell our services very dynamically. Anything you want to add to that, Oren?
No, I think given the short amount of time we have here, we covered this well. There's definitely, we're starting to see more and more interest in the market around this concept. Definitely when we take the combination of the value of automation, virtualization, orchestration on the one hand, and the public cloud with the great flexibility and ability to scale out quickly, this is, as you said, a winning solution, and I'm not surprised that we're already seeing together quite a few additional opportunities to introduce this into the network.